I'm sorry, who was asking that question? I didn't have my
Gwen,
screen.
Gwen.
Hi, Gwen. The Here to There show is more of a people get to bring forward their questions and I'll answer them. And most of the time I have guest speaker or I have people I interview, and whoever I interview on the Monday, they are my guest speaker on Friday. And there is no show this Friday because it's a holiday. So today is a bit of a different approach. It's more of you have the ability to come forward and ask me any questions that you might have about executive coaching, finding work, interviews, video production. Those all fall under my wheelhouse. So consider it as a free consultation or a complimentary consultation. And yeah, so it's a bit different. Gwen, you've been to my other webinars, right?
Yes.
Right. So yeah, so you've seen my content and whatnot. And let me just bring this forward. Hopefully it won't unplug it. So yeah, it's have you been to the Here to There show before?
Yeah, I think it's you have guest speakers, yeah, but I guess today is different.
Yeah. So today is a bit different just because of how it falls on the week, and I very busy December, and I just decided I would just be here, be of service, and answer any questions that people have. So let me get started on this and just give an introduction. Hello. Well, let me just actually show my screen here. I'm just going to share. And this. Okay. Welcome to the Here to There show. I'm your host, Luc Bouchard. This is my 12th or 13th Here to There show. And today I don't have a guest that I'm interviewing. I'm going to leave it open for anyone that has any questions to basically ask me them. And so it's a very open forum. And if you feel free to bring your questions forward. And I don't know if we're going to go the full 2 hours today. We may not, and that's absolutely fine with me because it's not as if I don't have a lot of other work to do. So I see that we have Mary on the call. Hey, Mary. And I'm not sure if I recognize anyone else besides Chris and, of course, Gwen. So.
I loved your guest speaker who taught us about Yoga Nidra.
Oh, John from that. Yeah, I'm glad that that served you well. What specifically resonated with you? Just the topic?
And I looked up Yoga Nidra afterwards. Mm-hmm. So that was really, I found out a lot about it, and he called it dreaming yoga.
Yeah.
So that was an indicator. Yep.
Okay.
Highly resonated with me.
Have you tried Yoga Nidra?
No, I have not yet.
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird guilty pleasure because it's you don't want to fall asleep, but you also want to. But if you do, it's okay. That's the point. There's nothing, because as John says, well, clearly you needed the rest. So.
Yeah, imagine you did.
Yeah. How's your holidays, Mary?
Well, I zoomed in with both my kids and my grandkids.
Yeah.
Via Zoom on Christmas Day.
And
they live in the Seattle area. So.
They what?
Yeah, they live in the Seattle area.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So. And I delivered their gifts to my son's house, and they were all in masks. All the kids were on break, and so they were all in masks. And my daughter-in-law told me, "Step back a bit," you know. So,
right.
But that was great to see them.
Something that kind of interesting happened. So for those of you that don't know, I'm in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, and about it was close to 2 months ago, my ex-wife, who I share custody of my children with 50% of the time, we do a week on, week off, and there you're going to see my son walking and my daughter probably walking in the background. But public health nurse she just happened to contact my ex-wife as opposed to me. And my ex-wife thought that there was going to be a reporting of COVID, because why else would you hear from a public health nurse at this time, right? About calling about school. No, actually, somebody in her classroom had TB, tuberculosis. And it was just like, tuberculosis in this day and age? Tuberculosis in Canada? It was just really bizarre. And of all the things we worry about, TB is now one of them. And she got tested and she's fine. She doesn't have it. But yeah, it's a weird world we live in. So what questions do people have for me? And I would prefer it if you show your video. It's not a mandatory, it's not a requirement, but it's just easier. And I see Chris has his hand up, so he gets to go first.
Well, it's not a question, but it is a question because I forget the name of the disease, or the virus, but one of my aunts, I think she went to, like, they have these up in Vermont from where I am, they have these parks where you can bring your kids and you go have a nice day in the park, and there's like a water slide. And I think this was like maybe in the spring. And it was like
of this year.
Yep. And it was like right after that weekend, they announced, they announced this COVID problem. And no, it's not Lyme disease, it's something else. And she was telling the school nurse that she was at a water park with a water slide, and she was afraid that they'd have to check for COVID. And then the school nurse was worried it's something else you can get from the water. It's like I forget the name of the problem. It's like but it's also it can be fatal as well. Like
well, we're not talking about fecal matter or urine in the water that kids might ingest. That's a problem in swimming pools. That's the problem in water parks is that if kids poop in the water, then they have to actually clean out the water. You're not talking about that.
I'm not talking about that specifically, but I think it's pretty similar. I forget if it's E. coli or something else. Like, I forget what it is, but it can happen in the water.
Right. Yikes! Yeah, it's one of those things. Okay, so I'm taking questions today on. And there's some videos I could show if you guys want to see. I could show you some videos, but I'm taking questions today on. Hey Tom, nice to see you.
How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. I'm very good. My day started at 7:30 today, so I've been going pretty strong. So I'm rather feeling like I'm gonna need to decompress after this episode of the Here to There show. Questions today I'm gonna take are anything on executive coaching, looking for work, position yourself as an expert in the market, video production. Any of those are on side. Personal counseling is offside. I'm not going to go there. That's not what this form is for, even though I do that. Or any kind of moving people through personal issues. That's not what we're here today for. So if you have questions, if you're looking for work and you want some ideas on or how to, if you're struggling with looking for work, if you're struggling with the interview process, I have 9 different webinars that I run throughout the month. And so feel free to use this. And also I bill out at $250 an hour. So you're getting me pretty cheap on that when I'm working. So what questions do people have?
Hi, Luke.
Hey, Austin.
Yeah, I convinced myself.
Wait. Is that a Warren Moon jersey behind you?
It is, yes.
Are you from Edmonton?
Yeah, I'm in Edmonton right now.
How cool. I didn't expect to see a Warren Moon jersey.
Oh, yeah?
That's pretty cool.
I mean, I didn't even see him play because I'm too young for that. But no, I like his story. So I got the jersey. And it's a 2006 like Hall of Fame jersey. Yeah. So he had it signed, and it's a size or two too large for me to wear, and I probably shouldn't wear it anyways. So yeah, I really like it.
Sure.
And I think you're the second one who's commented on the Warren Moon jersey. So I'm actually really glad that I have it because it's a good conversation starter, isn't it?
It is, absolutely.
Yeah. So like in terms of like positioning yourself as an expert, is there a way to do so when you don't feel like an expert yet?
Mm-hmm.
So like anyone transitioning from kind of like a school environment to like a work environment, that's kind of like what I'm looking for.
Okay.
And so yeah, like I guess I feel like an expert at learning how to do things for people, but if someone was to question me about things even that I've done before, I would kind of struggle to give them the answer like immediately, right?
Right. So what industry are you in?
So
Or going into.
Yeah. I have a degree in applied statistics and another degree in economics.
Hold it. You're the data scientist. You're the one that's wanting to be this aspiring data
that's one of the things. Like, I guess aspiring data scientist, but there's a career path that reaches data scientist, but not. I don't think that's what you call yourself immediately after you finish school, right?
I'm laughing because my 3-hour meeting this morning was with the I'm chief marketing officer for Expanse AI, and we're actually working on the avatar right now for data scientists, and we're spending a lot of time. And Maciek, the owner of Expanse AI, or the one that basically came up with the software, we were talking exactly about that, about people go out, no one says they're an aspiring data scientist, no one says that they're a junior data scientist. When they get out there, they say they're a data scientist, and it bothers them because they're posturing, is what he's saying, and they don't know that. So when I said I was going to be talking to someone, I didn't know it was going to be you. I said, yeah, somebody says that they're aspiring to do that. He goes, that's so cool, because they actually recognize where they're at in the process, as opposed to this whole thing of I'm all that in a bag of chips, right? So yeah. Okay, so sorry, so you're going into that's a potential path you're going into.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I'm kind of looking at what are the first entry jobs that you need to get, but everyone wants the same jobs, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I would talk about so your done your degree, or your?
I have finished it, yes.
Okay. Yeah. So, and your degree is in?
It's applied statistics.
Applied statistics, you said that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you have expertise, schooling. You went to school, and you have that. So you have that knowledge, and the thing is, so Austin, I kid you not, I've interviewed more people than I could possibly remember, let alone what I've hired and whatnot. And something that a degree or a diploma tells me as an interviewer is you've actually accomplished something. It actually shows that you have stick-to-itiveness. You got it at the U of A?
Well, okay, I have my economics degree is at the U of A.
Okay.
Then right afterwards, I went to McEwen for an applied statistics degree.
Okay, so so then you have 2 designations. You have that, you have the one on.
Yes.
So you've actually shown that you've done, and at McEwen was how long?
I was at McEwen for 28 months.
So is it a 2-year program?
No, it's a 4-year program, but I transferred 60 credits into it.
Okay, so you're able to apply those and bring those over there on that. So, yeah. Okay, so if I was interviewing you guys, talking to you guys, so he's done his stats, and then he's gone to McEwen, and he's applied both those, more education on that. And what that tells me is you have the ability to finish something. You have the ability to actually start and see something all the way through. When I went to the U of A, it was 120 credits. Has that changed?
No, it's still 120 credits.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah. So what we both know is 117 credits a degree does not make. Right? You can have 117, but you still don't have a degree. Or if you can have 130 credits.
I was gonna say you can have 130. If you didn't get the right combination, they don't care.
Oh yeah. Were they still using the STAR report?
Star Reports. No, not anymore. I've never heard of it. No.
It was a way of it was just really confusing anyway as to if you're on your academic track and whatnot.
Yeah.
So the point is that if you don't have everything, you still don't have a degree, and you can have 5-6 years in and still nothing to really to show for it. So the first thing that you're demonstrating is that you actually have stick-to-itiveness, and you've been able to follow up and finish something, and then also move on to another designation on that. So that's to your benefit. But I would talk about some of the, and I'm going to get to other people's questions. And if you just put in the chat that you have a question for me, because if I don't see if people have a question, I'm going to spend as much time with Austin until I know differently on that. So you have to raise your hand, or you have to put in the chat you have a question. Okay. This is what I know about people who call themselves data scientists. They're extremely curious. They want to learn. Their desire for knowledge is insatiable. Like, they just constantly want to learn and whatnot. So what do any of these don't agree? Any of these not fit for you, Austin?
No, I think they do fit for me, right? Like I guess one of the things I liked about doing a BA and then a BSc was the breadth requirements, right? To get a little bit of everything, right? But I'm not certain if like that's something people want to hear, right? To be like, I don't know if that's unfocused or if that's just if they can appreciate that I'm really interested in it, right?
I would focus more on your desire to learn and your desire to solve problems.
Yeah.
And it's so, and also people who do data science, they have to know a couple different things. Like stats is one of them. Usually it's going to be Python or some sort of ML that they're going to do it, or R or something like that.
Yeah.
But if you can demonstrate, I think, or what you can talk about is saying is that, no, maybe I've not had this position, but I love to learn. I am fast on my feet, and I need a break. I just need a place to get into the show what I can do on that and whatnot. And so it's far more desirable to hire someone who wants the job than someone who is kind of like, yeah, I'll take it if I have to. I'd rather have somebody who was interested in learning and wants to really, attack a problem and go through that, and they're just going to do it. That's far more desirable than someone who's kind of, I've been there, done it, I can do it on that. So that's your edge. That's your edge that you're going to have, or that's the edge I would talk about, is the fact that, you know what, I love learning, and I love figuring out problems, and I see that this is a means to that end. Does that fit? Does that feel like that's something you could say?
Yeah. Like I guess it's the convincing that if I don't have the skills I want yet, I can get the skills, right? I have skills already that are, I want to say, they're transferable, right? And I think I can be pretty dedicated, right? It's just kind of demonstrating, I've been using R for 3 years, and the last time I used Python was 5 years ago, right? So do I have to go back and do Python again, right? To convince them that I can be a good Python programmer if they need me to program in Python, right, instead of R, right? Or if they need me to be working with SPSS, right, then I can do SPSS because I've done it before, but I'd have to I can't be an expert in SPSS because I've worked on maybe a project or two with that tool set, right? I don't know. I guess I have a lot of I have some computer science friends, and they're kind of stuck in the environment where their bosses want them to learn a tool, right? They want, it's like, if you can't learn React.js, you can't work with us, right?
It's a requirement to continue with the employment, is they have to learn these different tools and whatnot.
Yeah, okay. I guess the learning part isn't the problem for me. It's just if they want me to jump on the team with React.js, all of a sudden I have to learn React.js before I jump on the team. Is that, that's an investment in my time, right?
Right, absolutely. Have you been applying for roles?
Yeah, I've been applying for jobs, but I've been somewhat, I don't know, snake bitten or somewhat afraid to like actually apply for jobs that are way above what I feel is way above my head so far, right? Like I've applied from like for like a federal, like I've been applying for like department, like sorry, let me clarify. Let me be better with my words. But I've, for example, applied for a job at a federal department that specifically has like a pathway to data science, but the position is not in data science yet because there's just kind of like skills I want to work on while I have free time, while I have like time at night to work on, to like just really be comfortable with saying that I'm good at R or I'm good at Python, not just that I did it because I was in school.
Right.
And I needed assignments to be completed, right?
Right.
Right. Because like for a lot of assignments, you do what you need to get like an A, or you get what you do what you need to get it, but not much more than that, right?
Yeah, well, and that's the whole thing that I hated about computer science is that I barely wrapped my brain around something and I was moving on to the next thing. And it's like I really never got a chance to really sink my teeth into it before I was on, on the next thing and the next thing on that. So your job description, sorry, not your job, the posting for a job is going to be really beneficial for you. And there's a lot of language in there that will tell you whether or not you can do it. And it's going to be words like, yeah, I see your hand, Chris, be right there. And so it's going to be must have versus ideal candidate will have. And if they say must have 6 years experience at this level and you don't have it, then don't apply for it. But if they say ideal candidate would have this, then why not? Yeah. I had a job once, and I'm just going to say this, then I'm going to get you to, I just get Chris to talk here, because I'm sure he has something very important to say on this. I applied for a role as a consultant where I was laying people off. And that's all you need to know for the story of this. When I went and did my training, I was absolutely shocked that I was the only one in the room that didn't have a master's. Had I known everyone else that who they hired had a master's, I don't know if I would have applied. But it didn't matter that I didn't have a master's. They were looking for a better fit. And they're looking for someone, and it's all about the fit. So I would be very, are you worried about burning bridges if you apply for jobs that you're not ready for?
Yeah, like you're wasting their time potentially if they interview you and they're like, okay, this guy got to this point and we already spent the time, constructing the job posting. We've already spent the time reading his resume. He made his resume seem like he's capable. And then I get to the interview. Maybe I pass the interview, but then what do I do when I'm in I don't know. Right. It's just like at any point when they decide to drop me, it's like they spent time on me, right? And someone got paid to look into me, right? Or to like figure me out, right?
Yeah.
Is that a worry, or is that something that happens?
Not as much as you're making it up to be.
Okay.
Yeah. So what they're going to do is your resume and cover letter are ways to pre-qualify you to know whether or not you're on that. And if they don't think that you have if they don't think you have the requisite knowledge and skill, they're not going to invite you for an interview. And it is a possible that once you apply for that position, you'll never get to apply again, or they won't give you another interview. And I've actually had that positions I applied for. I didn't get it the first time, and I didn't get an interview the third time. They had already made up their mind on me, and it was just like, oh well. But I would suggest that I would not let that stop you.
Okay.
And the main reason is specifically in the data science world, the people that hire you really don't know what you do, unless you're hired by another data scientist.
Yeah.
So if you go into a company where you're doing some you're being a data analyst or whatnot, or you're doing you're wearing many different hats, then what will likelihood that they might really not understand what you truly do. And there's a lot of posturing that goes on with data scientists. a lot of posturing that I'm learning. Chris, are you still there?
Still here.
Okay, what? Yeah.
So I actually got a piece of paper to write down. I thought of a few questions and comments. So actually, so I
Chris,
guess
are you the one that sent me I have a question or on last point? Did you send that to me? Or is that somebody else? Did you send me a private chat message?
I did not.
Okay, because I can't identify who has actually said that. So Tom, was that you? Oh, okay. So we'll let Tom, Chris, go ahead, and then Tom, you're next.
Okay, so I got a couple, I have a few things, unless Tom wants, okay. So one is that I think, of course, I think it goes without saying, you know, don't overpromise on your resume. I don't think I have to explain that. It happens. And
Chris, what's your background? What do you do? What's your training in?
what's my training in?
Well, you work in software, you work in, like, you have
Oh, to give you some
context on this. Yeah.
Yes. So I got a degrees in mechanical and electrical engineering, and then got into software for over 20 years.
Hold it. You have a degree in mechanical and electrical engineering?
20 years ago.
You have sorry, I'm blown away by that. I've known you for half a year and I don't know this about you.
Bachelor in mechanical, master's in electrical, and probably forgotten almost all of it 20 years later.
Okay.
That's how it goes.
Okay. So he might have an opinion here is my point, Austin.
Anyway, so anyway, I think one of the things is, yeah, so because the danger is if you over promise on the resume, I think that's so if the resume is really just says, okay, this is, I know this language, so on and so forth. I mean, if you did have a job that did Python and you put that on the resume, awesome. If you didn't have a job that does Python and it's not on your resume, the company knows that as well. Another thing that I do is that whenever someone comes to me and says, hey, are you interested in this kind of a position? Very near the beginning, I like to ask some questions to get to understand what kind of a position is it? What kind of like frameworks, languages, just to get the idea of, as much as I can, what they are looking for, what their needs are, and to tell whether my background would be the best match for that position, or it could be that my background may not be the best match for that position. For example, if someone is really looking for UI UX programming, my experience with UI and UX is very limited. It is what it is. That's just an example.
Yeah, that's an example of they're going to be very specific in the posting about what you have to have, what you should bring to the table. And that's where, if you don't have that, don't embellish that you do, because that will piss people off. That will really piss people off, saying you lied your whole way through and that's a killer.
And some other, because I think like if someone basically, if someone embellishes to deceive on the resume and the company knows it, then they'll be on the mental blacklist. Mm-hmm. As long as it, as long as they remember.
Yeah, because your reputation can only, your reputation
and people know each other. Another thing to not do is, okay, so a candidate should never ghost a recruiter or an employer. An employer can hire someone, I've read, employees can ghost their own employer. They decide to go somewhere else. They just don't show up. Never. So if you do that, everyone, the people in the company will remember pretty much forever, and you don't want to go there. And people when people talk, people know each other. So you want to keep. So these are these. This is what these are the things that I think Austin wants to try to avoid. But if someone, if someone does their best to join, hey, I'm interested in this company, I'm interested in your position, I'm interested in your company. You go to an interview, and okay, so they don't like the way I present something, for example. I mean, it is what it is. Their choice.
Yeah.
That's, I think that's totally different. And the one other thing that I'm going to mention is that for Austin is that, okay, I'm wondering if Austin has ever worked with JavaScript at all? Because I think from Python, I think JavaScript shouldn't be that hard to at least learn the basics of, coming from Python. And JavaScript is, I'm way more believing in JavaScript than in Python in terms of the future. Especially, and I think there's if I can recall it, I think it's d3.js, if I'm not mistaken. It's like a 3D or 3D graphing library, very, very well known. You might want to check that out.
So are you suggesting the JavaScript just to augment his skill set, or as a different career path?
I think as an augmentation.
Okay. Cool. Thanks, Chris. Tom?
Yes, thank you. A very specific question.
Okay.
Scenario or context. 1 minute left in an interview.
Okay.
I'm looking for strategies to maximize, and I'm thinking about closing with, do I have your support? I am highly interested in the job. Or options 3, 4, and 5.
Options 3, 4, and 5 sound a bit clever. Like you're trying to be clever on that. So that's how it would land on me. And guess?
Well, I have used, do I have your support before?
Yeah.
I have used, I am highly interested in my job, after building a case for why I am and why I would be a great fit. I'm looking for your perspective on, are there options 3, 4, and 5 that may be more?
Oh, I misunderstood.
Impactful.
Okay. Let me just think about this for a second. So you're looking at a good exit line for them to have an impact.
Yep.
Okay. And now I'm understanding the context. So, and give me the 2 again, because I'm actually hearing it differently now. So you said.
Yeah, at the end of an interview,
Yep.
recent interviews, I have asked the question, do I have your support for the position?
Okay, right.
And I also have reaffirmed that I am highly interested, and hopefully I've been able to convince you on why I'm a perfect fit for the job.
Yeah. Do I have your support for the job is, I would never say that, because if I said yes, then I've made a promise that you get the job. And I would never say, yes, you have my support for the job, because especially if you're my first of my next 3 interviews, how can I make that promise, right? And you wouldn't know where you are in that. So, and the other thing too is that I had to learn the hard way about giving people. I had to learn the hard way. In this day and age of litigiousness, people are not going to be straight with you in the interview. They're not. They're not going to give you the straight goods. If you ask for feedback, they're probably not going to give it to you, because everyone's so worried about being sued, especially if you're based out of the States on that. And I would end with, these are the reasons why I feel I'm a good fit for this job. And bring that, if in the interview saying at the very end, saying, thank you very much for your time. I just want to reiterate, I'm really interested in this job for these reasons, and this is why I think I'm a good candidate. That would be a strong finish. Was that helpful?
Yes, and your comment about the support question. In fact, the way I heard it back from the last interview I had was, let me give you the politically correct response.
Yeah.
You are among the top 2 to 3 candidates that I've interviewed thus far.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the most they're going
And
to commit, right?
Different.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is actually, I'll tell you this story of what happened to me. So I was hired by a doctor to find an RN, and it was a very specialized RN, and we had a panel interview, and we were, and how I might run my interviews is every question gets a number, and when you have, whether I'm doing by myself or if I'm doing on a panel, everyone rates an answer to the question, and whoever has the highest number at the end gets the job offer. After we check the reference, that's who we check the references. Then if the references are fine, they check the job on that. So there was this one particular nurse. She was later part of her career. She went through the interview. The lead nurse, who was also in the interview, said about her, yeah, I just don't feel much warmth from her. And this doctor deals with people that are very medically fragile, and that was very important within the role that they're actually, they have a lot of warmth coming from authentic warmth. And she said, this woman doesn't, I don't feel she has that. So she didn't get the position. I called her. I said, sorry, you weren't successful in the position. And she goes, oh, okay. Oh, I'd be surprised. And that was fine. 20 minutes later, she calls me up, says, can you give me feedback as to why I didn't get the role? And they said, yeah, we generally don't do that. That's not how we do in interviews. But I also hate that, Tom. I hate not being able to tell people how they shot themselves in the foot. It really bothers me. But because they could be something very simple that, you just didn't help yourself in this and clean this up, right? I said, but what I will tell you is that it was seen that you were not as warm, or that you were not as approachable as we'd like. This woman starts arguing with me. She starts, well, no, that's not true. And I said, okay, this is the reason why we generally don't say this. So the conversation's over. Within 2 hours, I got an email that was massively long. She creeped me. She found out my stuff from my past, and it was a character assassination in the letter, in the email that she sent me. And it was just like, well, thank you. You've just confirmed why exactly we shouldn't have hired you. But I'll never give that feedback again, because the letter was it was out of proportion for what she heard. I said something this big, and she thought it's this big. And so, and that's why we don't do it. So people have to be very careful in interviews to not suggest that they've given you some sort of hope on that when you don't have it. And because people tend to sue as much as they do, there's even that more caution on that. So really end with, this is why you want to, reiterate why you want to work for the company. I just thought of a better one. In your research, I'm assuming you do research on the company before you apply?
Yes.
Okay. If you can talk about specifically what you admire about the company, of course it has to be authentic. But let's say they have they strongly support, let's say their cause marketing is supporting families who are marginalized. Let's say they give to Ronald McDonald House. Are you familiar with Ronald McDonald House?
Yes.
Okay, so they give to Ronald McDonald House, and I see from back on your wall that it looks like there's some art there that kind of wonder if you're a dad or whatnot, and that kind of stuff. So that's why I'm using this as an example. And so to be able to say, one of the reasons why I'm very interested in this role is that how you guys show up in the community and how you help the community. And that is something I would be very proud of, to be part of a company that actually cares this much about these kind of causes. And so it's what you're doing is you're aligning your values with their values and your principles with their principles.
Thank you.
Yeah, because when Austin and I share the same values, I'm going to want to help them, and I'm going to actually want to, I actually want to see them do better because, you know, I feel kind of safe with them and I trust them. When we share the same values and principles, basically that's an indicator that we can trust someone and we're safe with them. And it is those, and if we look at all long-term relationships that are not forced, not like work relationships, if we look at friendships, if you have friendships from your childhood that you're still actively hanging out with these people, the likelihood that you guys think more similarly than dissimilar is very high. And so if you can demonstrate how your values are in line with the company's, then the company is going to go, oh, this guy thinks like us. And if he thinks like us, we can trust him. And it's not cognizant. It's actually at a grassroots level. That was a great question. Thank you for asking that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Not sure if there's other questions or if I've met. Are there other questions? You can just unmute and ask them, please. Okay, well, I'm going to go back. Oh, yeah, Chris, go ahead.
So I can think of a couple more questions to throw at you. If it.
Well, let me just go back. There's some more thoughts with Austin here. So, so can we just hold on to that for a second?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Okay. Just to regain my thought here. So, there's a stat out there, or not a stat, but there's this kind of, I'm going to say it's a stat, and that is the difference between men and women when it comes to applying for work is that men only need to feel 50% confident to apply for a job. Confident that they can do it, 50%. Yeah, I could probably do it. Women need 85 or 90% to feel that they're going to apply before they apply for a job. Men tend to take risks more, and they tend to say, I'll figure it out as we go along. And so nothing ventured, nothing gained. And I would just really encourage that. You know, I really like Chris's words about not embellishing because people will remember that. And it's one thing to go, you didn't get the role. We didn't offer him the role because he's inexperienced versus we didn't offer the role because he bullshitted us all the live long day. And those are two very different things. And one isn't in one, you might be able to come back and saying, you know, you look really good, but you need to, if they give you this, you need to really hone these skills, or you really need to expand on these skills. Then that's something you can do, but you're just seen as not experienced. And there's a lot of people out there looking for work right now. And because you don't get a role doesn't mean you're not skilled. It's just that somebody was maybe one number better than you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And as hard as it is not to take it personally. Because I've had 3 equal candidates and it's just like, oh, this is a tough choice. And they equally bring something to the table. And at some point, my bias, because it is a bias, is going to, if I have to pick amongst 3 and they're all like virtually the same weight of skill, I will go with who I like better. Because I have to work with them.
Yeah.
Right? There's also something about, I think you need to do as a, as going into data science role is people expect you to be confident in what you're doing.
Yes. And it's kind of funny because the confidence interval, right, is telling people we are 90% sure it's between these 2 numbers. And the language we learn in school is, you know, there's a 5% chance this is not due to just random luck, right? That's kind of the language we've been taught for how many years, and then all of a sudden it's like, now you got to be confident and you got to tell me what the answer is.
That's right. That's right. I'm going to want to have a conversation with you after this about that, because I'm thinking Magic would probably wouldn't mind talking to you about some of
Okay.
the stuff, and he can answer a lot of the questions better than I can because he has been a data scientist for for quite a while and whatnot. And so let's carry on the conversation after and whatnot. And
Okay.
because he said, it's so refreshing when somebody's going to say, I aspire to do this, as opposed to, because he hates bullshit. He really hates bullshit. Just like
Yeah.
has no tolerance for it. Gwen has a question. So we'll carry on some more, Austin.
Of course.
Career change. You want a career change in finance? Gwen, if you just asked me the question, it would be a whole lot easier because I hate reading. So can you?
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
trying to do a career change.
Mhm.
I'm 40 years old plus.
Mhm.
I am seeking. Well, I'm trying to figure out if return on investment in getting another bachelor's degree, or just being like a self-taught technical coder, or something
Okay.
technical. Also trying to find my niche, because companies are offshoring some of the work done to other countries at
Mhm.
25% American wages.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. Um. So your financial cost ROI education. Okay. So what? Tell me why you want to uh, shift shift focus in what you do for work.
Um, I am tired. I'm not a extrovert being with many people.
Mhm.
What else? I'm not. I want more flexibility.
Okay. In your job, in your workday.
Yes, in my workday.
Okay. So you want flexibility. You're not you find you're not really that much of an extrovert. You're more of an introvert, and so you want to deal with people less.
Yes.
That's fair. That's absolutely fair. Like there's nothing wrong with that. It's just being very clear as to what your drivers are and whatnot. Um, if you went back for your BA, what's the starting salary once you'd be done with that?
Well, it depends if I go to a public college or private, or depending if my financial aid situation. I already have a bachelor's degree. Um,
Mm.
so that's why I was thinking of the self-taught boot camp coding.
I don't know enough about coding if they and Chris, maybe you have an opinion on this. And Maria's going, she's asking what is your career now, and she's talking about, she also mentions transferable skills. I apologize, that came out of nowhere. My I guess my what I would suggest for you is, can you get jobs as a self-taught coder, or do they need that recognition that you actually learned from someone? And that's part of that would be what I would need to have make an informed choice as to whether or not I go back to school and incur all the cost of going back for post-secondary. And then the other thing I would look at is what is your career, or what's the path of I guess the remuneration. What's the highest you can make in the remuneration? Because if you max out, let's say at a a coder might, a really good coder at the top of the scale might make 80,000. I don't know what it is, but they might make 80,000. And the question is that, so is that really, if you want to do it for money, is that money enough? And are you getting enough satisfaction in the job by doing that? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. So have you looked at any of this kind of stuff as to what what you would get paid as a self-taught coder versus a somebody who's gone to school?
If I'm doing it informally, self-taught, then I would need to start with small companies, which is financially unstable.
Mm-hmm.
They can go bankrupt, or
Or
well,
COVID could hit and we're all screwed, but that's something else altogether. Yeah, those definitely are some realities, absolutely.
how do
But
you
I guess
take into account the offshoring
uh,
to other countries?
yeah, and that's also reality on that you have to look at. I think it really. So, what would type of companies that would send it, outsource it to a different part of the world? And is that the common business practice today, or is that something that is being done just for cost savings? Chris, do you have any thoughts on this?
Yeah. So in terms of the boot camp, um, the thing that I think I'm coming from over 20 years of programming experience. My thing about a boot camp is that if you come out of boot camp, you come out with, it's still limited education and no experience. And I've read I think there are boot camps that are able to get people into jobs, but from what I've read, a B doesn't give me a very good feeling. I didn't say it's bad. I just said the feeling, which is, which doesn't mean very much. I think what I would say about software, the software programming in general, from what I've seen, I think if you can find something that some type of programming or domain that that you really like doing, that you can see is underserved, I think that would help a lot. Because programming used to be companies competing for programmers. Now it seems to be the other way around.
Programmers for going after
because it's just because of the global outsourcing.
So there's obviously a niche that you can have in programming or coding. That was a question for you, Chris.
There are plenty of niches, and I think the challenge is to identify a niche that if you feel you could be very strong in, even potentially potentially number one, just be strong, specialize. There's plenty of demand, these kinds of things to look for.
And this is a thought I just had, Gwen, and that is there anything that you can do with your education in the financial world that would really make you more desirable? Do you know what I mean about the fact that you take your ROI and your financial cost and education, and is there anything that you can use that in the coding world, because that would give you an edge? It's like the what's the example here? I'm drawing a blank as to what could be. I don't know. You have a knowledge, and then you have that base knowledge, and then you take that and you're able to apply that within the industry. Is that even possible? Gwen, does that make sense, or am I way off the wall here?
Some reasons to keep it on site is intellectual property protection or legal compliance.
Right, but can you use your background, your financial costs, or I'm just reading from what you put in chat here, can you use that as basically an advantage in the coding world? Because you know how that world works, can you basically use that to say, so now you're specialized because you're using your existing knowledge and you're putting something else on top of that.
Okay.
Did that make sense, or am I lost you?
Yeah, I'm actually doing 2 roles then for the price of one, or 3 roles for the price of one.
Well, I'm just thinking about how do you make yourself desirable in the market? And if I have to, if I need somebody with that a certain skill set, I'd prefer not to train them for that skill set. I prefer to hire for that skill set. Or if I need someone to have a background in something, that's far more desirable than someone that doesn't have that background. So what I'm saying is that if you're able to use your existing knowledge and then do some sort of coding on top of that, I think that would be a way to distinguish yourself, if that makes sense.
Okay, so just within the industry, but maybe a different an added role, because um, to make a different industry career change would be too costly and difficult.
It would be almost like somebody who's a mechanic and then they decide they want to become an accountant. So they go to school to be an accountant, and let's say they work on their vehicle mechanic. They just work on cars and whatnot. Well, maybe what they could do is they could take that knowledge of their understanding of how to fix vehicles and specialize they're accountants for auto mechanics. They know their world. They know the world. Does that make sense on how you're taking your existing knowledge and you're being able to apply that to other things? Because then you're seen as more desirable.
Okay.
Okay. Don't know if I really helped you there on that. So, okay, we are coming up to we're at the top of the hour. There's a good breaking time. I always show as a marker in between hour 1 and hour 2, and I see that we lost some people, but those of you that are still here, hopefully you have some questions. I'm going to show a video, so just give me a second to cue it up. And
sorry, Luke, it's Maria. I just threw in a comment there saying that I know that introverts are unfairly assessed as they have hidden talents that don't come out easily during interviews. So can you maybe talk about this for a minute or two? Because I know highly skilled, talented people that are bypassed unfairly. So that you either learn how to be a tiny bit of an extrovert to ace the interview, and then you get the job and you're just shining.
Right.
Or you don't do as well in the interview unfairly because people don't know how to interview introverts.
Right.
And that's all I'm going to say to it.
My first thought with this, and actually this has come up as a regular theme on my webinars. People talk about introverts and the part of the struggle with introverts. And so my first thought, and this may seem, duh, Luke, but I just want to talk about this for a second. And that is, if a position requires that you are extrovert, I think you have to really decide if that position is really right for you. Yep. And so it's going to be, it's like saying we need out of the box thinkers, and you're not an out of the box thinker. So there's a part of applying for roles in the positions that actually you might be setting yourself up for failure. Now, that's my first thought on that is that, if you're, are you going after roles that are really not right for you? So that's the first thing we have to look at. Then the second thing is I would if you're an introvert and you really struggle in the job search or in confidence in the interview, there's things that you can do for that. And one of them would be perhaps something like Toastmasters, where you learn how to publicly speak, where you're forced to get out of your comfort zone. Because part of what we're talking about here is that you're not representing yourself really well. You're not showing who you are to the world. And so part of that is breaking past that and finding out. But, you know, is the position right for you? Because it may not be. Yeah. I just see that Tom is signing off. No problem, Tom. He's already gone. So I don't know if that makes sense or if that was helpful. I'm going to show this video now, so let me just get it set up, and then we're going to carry on. If something went wrong, try this again. Huh. My kids, we might be using up too much bandwidth because I am not able to. No, that worked. I can't get into my YouTube channel. I'm not sure why not. Let me just try this. Okay, that worked. And okay, so I'm going to be showing, I hope no one has any fears of skeletons, because I'm going to be showing a skeleton. And as soon as I get this, there we go. Okay, just give me 1 second. I'm just getting this queued up here. Chris, do you remember what we talked about last time? What the content was on?
You know, what did you do last Friday? Oh, wait a minute.
I didn't do one last week because of the Christmas talk.
Man, I'll double check it.
It's okay. I'm just going to pull up one here anyway. And so I think we did.
Luke, while you're working on that, I kind of have a suggestion. I'd like to make a suggestion.
Sure.
I think there is a Colin and Luke show might be coming up. There have been some Colin and Luke Connect and Learn shows in the past for people who are looking for career transitions and changes, and I think there might be some coming up. And
thank you, Chris. So I'm going to show this video, then I'm going to talk about that. So we're just going to do this. Okay, so I'm setting this up. This is, you're going to be seeing a skeleton here. It's my co-host. Some people kind of dislike that. So let me just do this now. And just want to make sure you guys can see it. And this is 1 minute, 26 seconds. And Chris, just let me know if the sound's not coming through, okay? So here we go.
I definitely agree it's getting worse. And you know what happened the last time your inner ear stopped working? You like threw up all over the camera. Like literally all over the, oh, Phil, we're on. This is Bare Bones Videos. I'm Luke Bouchard. This is my co-host Phil. Phil decided to dress up today and put on a tie, but we're both kind of feeling off kilter. I'm not sure what's going on there. Phil, what's our quote for the day? It's by Ralph Emerson. That would be Ralph Waldo Emerson. And if you're wondering where Waldo is, he's right here. What lies behind you and what lies in front of you pales in comparison to what lies inside you. All right. And Phil, what's your reaction to Mr. Emerson? Attitude sets your altitude. If you have a favorite quote, send it to us and Phil will send you a picture of he and I. And please subscribe to my YouTube video channel and also like this video. You take care now.
Okay, that silliness was brought to you by a guy who has too much time on his hands. Okay, what what Chris was talking about is this, and I'm just going to bring up an image here. And so I have a segment coming up, and it is something that's new. And as I bring up the image here, it is called, it's a Morphus, it's morphed from something else. And in December, we did the Connect and Learn networking event. And now we have the, sorry, folks, there's the stuff in the way, you're not gonna be able to see it. Okay. Starting on, and Gwen, this would be helpful for you. Starting on January 13th at 4 p.m., we have the Connect, Learn, and Pitch Network. And so it is an opportunity for people to come and learn how to actually give their elevator pitch via LinkedIn, on Zoom calls and whatnot. So what we do is we teach people how to be present. We teach people how to increase their energy, and we teach people how to make connections. And everyone gets to pitch once, and then they get feedback from the people in the room, including Colin and I. So if you are an introvert and that you are finding that you're having a hard time basically speaking in front of people, this would be a great place to practice it, because what you're going to get to do is you're going to get to learn how to be better on screen. So thanks for that prompt, Chris. Okay. Are there other questions what are other questions that people have? As I pull up the chat, see if anyone put in there. Ladies and gentlemen, any questions? Yes, Chris.
I think I had another comment for Austin, and see if I can recall. Oh,
I think Austin has signed off.
No, I'm here.
Oh, you are here? Okay, sorry.
Yes.
Pardon me.
So I have a comment for Austin. I think it can also help Gwen if she decides to go to some kind of a degree program. And I kind of wish I would have done this. Well, yeah, I didn't do this myself. It probably would have helped quite a bit. So while if you're going for say you're going for like a bachelor program or a master's program in school for a subject, if you can find an internship or other type of work or work study opportunity, I think it would help a lot for entry into the workplace after graduation. And I think there are people who are able to be perpetual students, just studying and taking work studies like for almost forever. I don't suggest that route, but it's better than you go, you learn, graduate.
Now you look for work.
Useless.
Yeah.
If it's useless, yeah.
Yeah, there's one YouTuber I've been watching. He's out of San Francisco, and he talks about the merits of internships and on that. And he also says that he gets most of his jobs from his friends, not from his friends, from connections from his friends.
Yeah.
So Austin, if you know people, if you have friends who are in a company and whatnot, get them to find out if there's any roles or positions coming up, and ask them on that. And this was something I did very commonly or it was not uncommon for me to do this when I was supervising people. I would have staff who were absolute stars. They were so good at what they did. And I would always say to them, do you have any friends who are looking for work? Because we hang out with people that are like us. We hang out with people that are similar to us. And if I see a staff if I have an employee who has outstanding work ethics, the likelihood that their friends are going to have really good work ethics are pretty high, because they're going to have those same common things. So you might be able to actually bypass a stack of resumes by just from somebody within a company saying, hey, you should talk to my friend Austin, he's looking for work. And if your friend is well respected, like that's gold on that.
Yeah.
So just something else for you to consider on that.
Yeah, internships. I guess I have another question, maybe related to how volunteer work is perceived and how unrelated work is perceived as well. I
love this question. This is an outstanding question. Okay, so we're going to put on you're an interviewer. You're in a hiring leader role, and so you have all these resumes to go through. And if it's a junior position, like it's not a position that is seen, it's an entry level position that is appropriate for your skill set and whatnot. So you apply for it, and so now you're actually looking at a whole bunch of resumes, and you see, so one of your minimum criteria is they have to have a degree, and let's say a degree in statistics, or what would be something that would be kind of considered on that same level?
Oh, math, computing science.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, for me it was like a degree in psychology, sociology, anthropology. They're all fine. Like it's just kind of that base, right? Okay, so you're looking at resumes, and minimally your requirement is some sort of degree in math, science, or whatever on that. So you shortlist everyone, and you've got 5 candidates. You need to shortlist it some more. So then you're looking at their work experience. You're looking at other things they've done, and also including their volunteer positions. And if I see someone that has volunteered for an organization that they volunteered for a length of time, like I'm not just talking a month, I'm talking like maybe 6 months to a year while they're going to university, that carries so much weight. Okay. In my eyes, it carries an incredible amount of weight, because it's one more thing that you've done. It's one more thing that you can point to. This is Austin. This is how I want you to see your resume and your cover letter. They're indicators of your character. Who is this guy I'm looking at? I have Bill, Sally, and Austin. All I see is black words on a sheet and what they write supposedly on their cover letter and resume. And I'm trying to determine who is the best fit for this role. Who is the one that I want to actually bring in? And is it, and if I look at 3 resumes and one has actually volunteered and that's a determining factor, absolutely. Absolutely. So volunteering is extremely important. Of course, you want to volunteer in a similar industry. Yeah.
Okay.
To show that it's on that. But if you have that experience and that background, I think that's absolutely applicable. So yes.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm glad you said the length of time is a good indicator, because I have been volunteering at the same place for a very long time.
How long?
7 years.
Oh my God.
But it's for coaching, debate for students. Good. But I'm not sure if that relates to data science. But it's just, it's like one of my hobbies, like the ultimate hobby that I've had for like the longest time, right?
Actually, it's very applicable, and I'm going to tell you why.
Yeah.
Because what you have to do as a data scientist is you have to basically convey an idea to get people to follow your advice. It's very applicable of the fact that you coach people how to be persuasive.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I see the
Okay.
direct correlation, and that you've been doing it for so long. What do you love about the coaching?
Uh, it's just something that I was able to do as a junior high student,
Mhm.
and I really like to facilitate that. And I know the resources at the school level are fairly low.
Mhm.
And so for someone with experience to like work with a teacher that doesn't have experience in debates is actually very valuable to the teacher. And so, the teachers, and I've actually worked with now 2 teachers at the same school. One of them retired, right?
Do you still have contact with that teacher?
Yeah, both for sure.
Okay. Have
Yeah.
you got a letter of reference from them?
I've had a letter that they wrote for me when I was when I was to receive an award.
Okay.
That's a few years old, I believe, but I still have it.
What
I
award
could
did
ask
you,
for a new one.
what award did you receive?
It's called the John Beatty Award.
Okay.
It's for the adult that makes the largest contribution to debates in Alberta.
That's impressive.
Yeah, I guess, but I mean, it's just something I like doing, right?
Okay. Well, please
I don't know if I can suggest, but
no,
yeah.
don't because you like. Of course, you should like doing you doing because you like on that. Okay. So would either of these teachers be a reference for you?
Yes, they would be. I'm sure no, absolutely they would. They would be very happy to do so.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. So I'm looking at 3 equal candidates. They all have very similar educational background. And then I have this one guy by the name of Austin who has volunteered for 7 years and has coached fellow students how to actually debate. And he's put his time in for 7 years. And also there's a recommendation from his, a letter of reference from his teachers on that, multiple teachers. Your stock just went up. Your stock went up a lot. And what is it about the coaching that you enjoy?
I do like sharing what I know. Like I like sharing what the information I'm confident in sharing, right? I like sharing that information. And I just find that at that level of debate, junior high, I'm very experienced in knowing, just how students get good at debates. Like I know where they start at, which is they're not able to write an essay, and I'm asking them to verbally provide an essay to judges and convince judges that your arguments are better than your opponent's arguments, right? And so to get a student that's in grade 7 to that level very quickly, like for the first debate tournament, is 2 months, right?
Wow. Right.
It is. This year was a little bit later because of COVID, but usually the first tournament is like October 30, like the weekend of Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
The weekend before Halloween or the weekend of Halloween is when we run our first tournament, and that's only 2 months from September 1st. And kids don't even meet September 1st for debate. They meet like after clubs week, which might be halfway through September. Right. So it's like it's very challenging, and also I just convince kids that are not good at it to try it. And then they bomb out. Well, they just bomb at it sometimes, but I've convinced them to try it because I don't know. It's just something I really enjoyed back then. And it's something I like kind of convincing people to do now. Right. Because it's just not, it's not well known in Edmonton, I'd say, that there's a competitive debate circuit for junior high kids. It's not well known. Not a lot of schools offer it, and that's kind of like why I know that if I wasn't in the scene, that there would be less people being able to have access to it, right?
So do you see yourself as a mentor?
Yeah, like in that case, yes.
Yeah.
In that specific environment, mentoring junior high kids, I don't even think I would be coaching high school kids because high school is just a different level of debate, right? They're more, I imagine I have a different skill set to provide to them. And I just kind of like enjoy the lower kind of like the lower level of students, or I guess at least the younger students, right?
So when I hear that, what I hear about your character is the fact that you give of your time, you are teaching skills, you enjoy it, yes?
Yep.
Yep. And that you're able to actually teach children a skill.
Yep.
That's huge. That's
Yeah.
absolutely huge. Something I've said for many years now is how we show up in life is how you show up, and it doesn't really matter whether you are what age you're in. So let me ground that and what I mean by that. If you hate being late, you're always going to be on time. You're not going to be late for some people. You're not going to be on time for some people another. If you hate owing money, you're probably always going to pay your bills to everyone. If you're meticulous and attention to detail is important to you, you're probably going to have that everywhere in your life. And when you are, for yourself, when you're able to put yourself out there and to show that you have a track record of 7 years being able to help kids, that's something that you can point to saying, this is a passion of mine. And I love to teach. I love working with kids who want to be taught, or I've enjoyed working with grade 7ers, and that's a difficult slog and whatnot, but it demonstrates your character. And these are huge. Because if you have 3 people and none of them's ever volunteered, 2 of them have never volunteered, and you've done it for 7 years, I'm looking for a differentiator. What sets this person apart from everyone else? Why should I give this guy a job over these people? Well, they did well in the interview, but they're all kind of the same. Oh, he's got these years of experience in volunteering. It speaks tons about your character.
Okay.
Especially if you're going to be dealing with people more my age than who are in their 30s. They won't value it. They may not value it as much unless they've been volunteers.
Yeah.
I have over 120 blood donations. And to people, that matters. Some people that really matters. Oh my God, you've given over 120 times, especially if you ever had to blood transfusion. That speaks volumes. And I don't always lead with that, but it's something that demonstrates my character that I've done that. I have a picture of me being hooked up to at the U of A at the Canadian Blood Services with blood coming out of me and 100 volunteers. I use that whenever I need to demonstrate my character.
Yeah.
So yeah. These are absolutely benefits that you can show. Yeah. And
okay. Yeah,
and because it was effortless for you and you enjoyed it, it doesn't diminish it any less.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for answering that part of the question. Volunteer work. Was it a 2-part question? Oh, unrelated work experience.
Unrelated work. So you might, at your age and your stage of the career, you might have to show unrelated work experience just to show that it's not your first job.
Yeah.
So maybe it's working in, I don't know, if you were, if you were working in a golf course as, I don't know, picking up the golf balls on the driving range, and you had that 3 years in a row doing that job.
Yeah.
That shows that actually you got the job, you were brought back, or you're doing that. Or if, more stereotypical, if you worked at McDonald's for a few years, oh, he's able to keep an employee. He's able to keep working. Traditionally, what we want is anything on your resume must be a demonstration that points to why you're ideal for the job. But at this point in your career, you might not have that latitude. So what you're doing is you need to show a track record of what you've accomplished. So your designations, your BSc and your BA are those. Your volunteering is also something on top of that. Other roles that you've had. So what jobs don't you want to show on your resume?
Oh, I don't even think it's that I don't want to show it. It's like, I'd be happy for them to hear my references.
Mm-hmm.
It's just I'm worried that they'll look at the job and say like, well, that doesn't require a lot of skill to complete, right? I guess like the current job I have right now is I work as a part-time merchandiser for a a husband and a wife. I work under them as I guess it would be like they're contractors. I'm subcontracting for them, right? And my job responsibilities include being there every time and just mostly just like rotating bread, like rotating the shelves so that the products are properly stocked.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the reframe is that you're dependable,
Yeah.
right? It's not that you're there every time. It's just like they can count on you to do that, or else you wouldn't have kept the job on that.
Yeah.
So also, you know, when I've hired a lot of young adults in your age range and whatnot, and it's just like, is this their first job? Do they even know? Do they have the work ethic? Do they know how to play well with other people? Do they know how to actually, stay off their cell phone when they're working and that kind of stuff, right? These are the demonstrations, and I think it all plays in there that you're showing that you're employable and you keep jobs and that you've volunteered on that. I believe you have a lot more going on for you than you actually think.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. You're welcome. Okay. I don't see any other questions because does anyone else have? Because I got stuff to do, so I don't need to be here today. I'm happy to be here. If people are actually going to, I'm very happy to be here, but if there's no more questions, I'm just going to call this to a halt today or bring this to an end.
Thank you, Luke.
Yeah, you're welcome, Mary. Always happy when you're here. How'd you like the bare bones video today, Mary? You've commented in the past.
I do like skeletons.
Okay, good. Okay. All right. Well, that's today's edition of the Here to There show. Actually, Chris, if you can just hold on since I have you here, and like I say, you don't have to leave your house, but you can stay in this room except for Chris. So, thank you, everyone.